this is sleep part 2. So in part 1, I described some of the causes of insomnia and sleeplessness. And in this video, I'm going to give you some therapeutic strategies to help improve your sleep quality, the length of sleep, and waking up feeling refreshed. Here's a story about me and salt. So I had a diet that was high in sodium. I didn't really realize I was eating a lot of salt, and this was making me really thirsty. So I thought I was a really good water drinker. I was drinking, and I'm not exaggerating, about 5 liters of water a day. Now that is excessive. And the thing about drinking 5 liters of water a day is that you need to pee a lot. And I would be peeing in the night as well. So I'd wake up at least 3 times a night to pee, and I would have to drink more water in the middle of the night. So what happened was, when I changed my diet, drastically reduced the amount of salt content I was consuming and increased the amount of plants that were high water content, so we're talking fruit, salad, and vegetables, I was no longer thirsty anywhere near to the extent as I used to be. So now I drink probably 1 to 2 liters of water a day. I don't need to wake up and pee, maybe occasionally once, but it's not sort of 3 times a night. And I'm not needing to rehydrate and keep drinking in the middle of the night either. So sometimes there can be something small that we're doing, or seemingly small, that's having a big impact. So just before I get right into it, any one of these strategies can be done just one at a time. So I in fact don't recommend trying to implement a whole bunch of strategies at the same time. This tends to set us up for failure when we're trying to make changes, overloads us, overwhelms us, and over deprives us. So definitely feel free to only try one strategy at a time. So the first part of these strategies are lifestyle strategies. So behavioral things that we can do and change to improve our sleep. And then the other is about sleep hygiene and a sleep routine to prepare ourselves and prepare our body to go to bed and be more successful at sleeping and staying asleep. So in terms of lifestyle factors, this is predominantly about our diet and what we're consuming in the day. So firstly, alcohol. Alcohol is a stimulant, and stimulating the nervous system before we go to bed is counterintuitive, and it's in opposition of getting a restful full night's sleep. In addition, it dehydrates us. So although alcohol can help us sort of unwind and de-stress in the short term, and it can help us fall asleep, the quality of that sleep is definitely not as high as it would be without alcohol or without regular alcohol consumption. And it's likely that it's causing you to wake up and need to guzzle a whole heap of water, which can help you fall back asleep, but overall your whole night's sleep is now disrupted and compromised. So my recommendation is, if you're drinking alcohol every evening, try to decrease that. So starting with 1 night at a time, having 1 alcohol-free evening, getting used to that, then making it 2, and gradually decreasing the number of evenings that you're using alcohol. If you are having difficulty with stopping drinking alcohol, I definitely recommend you seek professional treatment from a therapist who specializes in drug and alcohol addiction or dependence. So the next thing is caffeine. So the best thing that we can possibly do is to stop drinking caffeine 12 hours before we go to bed. So that does sound like a long time, but if we think about it, say we're getting up at 6 a.m. and we're going to bed at 10 p.m. So then we have that 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. window to caffeinate ourselves, so to help get ourselves going. And then if we stop drinking caffeine 12 hours before bedtime, we're stopping adding stimulants to the body. So we're giving it quite a long period where we're not artificially stimulating it. And then we're also giving ourselves a lot of opportunity to rehydrate the body, because caffeine, as well as being a stimulant, also dehydrates us. So the next thing is diet. So we want to try to nourish our body with whole foods as much as possible. So minimizing processed foods, and these are the foods that are ready-made meals in the supermarket or takeaway meals. Most of the time they are high in salt, oil, and sugar. And salt, oil, and sugar are low in nutritional value, and they're high in caloric density. They make us body have to work harder to eliminate them whilst depriving the body of actual nutrients that it can use to flourish and repair. So a whole foods diet where we're eating a lot of plant-based products that are high in water content can really help us to get a better night's sleep. So just check in with your diet and see if there's even any one small change that you think that you can make that's along those lines, that's whole foods and a reduction in processed foods, and this can definitely help improve the quality of our sleep. So the next thing I want to talk about is sleep hygiene and a sleep routine. So the first thing I recommend is to have some sort of self-care practice before bed. I recommend a yoga or breath practice before bed, and my next video is actually going to be a yoga sequence you can do in bed. It's very gentle, it's less than 20 minutes, perfect way to set yourself up to fall straight to sleep. Another option is any type of breathing practice, meditation or pranayama to be doing sitting or lying in bed, or even yoga nidra. But if that's not your thing and it doesn't appeal to you, there's lots of self-care practices that we can do that help unwind us, and they're about self-soothing and self-care. So it might be for you having a shower. It could be turning off the TV and reading a book quietly for 10 or 15 minutes. Anything that is soothing and nourishing for you and relaxing for you. Something that's pleasurable for you. This is what self-care is, and I really want to emphasize this because any goal that we're trying to attain that's health related involves a level and a foundation of self-care. You have to be prepared to give yourself the nurturing and the nourishment that goes along with making a change. So it comes from a basis of compassion, so self-compassion. When we're self-compassionate, we're able to nurture ourselves with self-care practices. Next, I want to talk about the timing of your meals and the timing of going to bed. So maybe you're already a night owl and you stay up quite late. Let's say your bedtime is at midnight and you'd like to be able to go to bed at 10 or 10:30. Just try half an hour at a time. So start going to bed half an hour earlier. Implement some of these self-care wind down practices, or at least one thing, and help the body to wind down. And once you get used to that, so if you stick at it, it shouldn't take much more than a fortnight, just depending on the individual. Do that for 2 weeks or less if it's quicker. And then once your body has adjusted to going to bed half an hour earlier, then do another half hour earlier. It's about mindset as well. What is your mindset on losing sleep? What is your mindset about not getting enough sleep? I remember going through a phase when I started my new job and it was really overstimulating and I was learning a lot. I just decided that I wouldn't get upset about losing sleep. So there were some nights where I only got 5 or 6 hours sleep. And yes, that would mean that I was more tired the next day and it was a bit more of a struggle to go to work. But I found that if I got upset in the middle of the night by not being able to get to sleep, if I allow myself to get frustrated, I would end up getting less sleep. So I just, it's a bit of a mindset about compassion for the body and thinking, okay, my body is responding to all of the environmental factors that I've exposed it to, including a new job that's super stimulating, and the nervous system is overactive right now. And so just having a little bit of compassion and thinking, okay, well, it's out of my hands to an extent. I've done everything that I can do. I'm just gonna lie here and breathe, or I'm just gonna put an episode of this show on and try and not force yourself to go to sleep. If you're trying really hard, it's actually counterproductive. So most of us have experienced that phenomenon before. The other thing is timing of meals. So we want to try and finish eating, I would say at least 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Up to 3 hours before bed is ideal. When we eat, the body goes into this state of digestion, and it's doing its thing, trying to get the food to move through and establish what it can use for nutrients and etc. We are better off doing that while we're upright. We're better off sitting upright. It helps the body to move the food down and digest it down. If we lie straight down, we're more likely to experience digestive problems such as reflux. So give the body a chance to digest the food. Go to bed. Obviously, we don't want to go to bed hungry either, because that can keep us awake. So just finding a good balance there, having a bit of time where there's no food before going to bed. So the next thing that I would do is have a look at your bedroom environment. This is more important than you might realize. So make sure the bed is clean, obviously, but a lot of us, I know when I was a lot younger in my 20s, used to chuck clothes and all sorts of things on the bed. See if you can clear that bed space. And we want to make the bedroom, and especially the bed area of the bedroom, a protected space. Make it a protected space that's solely for you to have a wonderful, beautiful, nourishing night's sleep, and give it that respect that it needs. So we want to have a clear bed, and we also want to have a clear environment around the bed. So nothing on the floor for us to trip on around the bed, nice clean floor to walk on, and anything that's next to the bed. So if you've got a bedside table, keeping that nice and clear as well. You want to think about your senses. So what is going on visually? What are the colors like in the room? So in Western society, we tend to associate dark blues and purples with going to sleep. What resonates with you? What's appealing and inviting for you? Have a look at the position of the bed. Where is it in terms of the window? And where is it, like, is it cluttered, or is there a way to create more space around the bed? So having a think about those things as well. What about the temperature of the room? Is it really cold in there, or is it too hot and stuffy? So is there a way you can modify the air in the room to make it more comfortable for you? What about the hardness of the bed? Do you need a softer bed or a harder bed? Do you need a better pillow? So looking at those things. What about if you get hot, maybe you need a thinner doona or duvet, or maybe you need a thinner fabric. What do you like the feel of on your skin? Do you like something a little bit rougher on the skin, or do you like something really light and soft? So pay attention to those things. This is all about your sensory profile. So as an occupational therapist, this is something that I do with clients, is I can establish what someone's sensory profile is. What about smells in the room? So some people don't like scented candles, but often there's usually one type, if you find even a mild one that has a scent that we like, that is soothing and calming to us, or at least a fresh air smell. So do you air out your room as much as possible? And where are your shoes? Like anything that can smell a bit stale, can we get that out of the bedroom and keep the air nice and fresh in there? So all of these things that we might think are small can actually have a big impact. So that's what sleep hygiene is. The other thing, just the final thing I want to touch on, is drug therapy. So I definitely recommend taking magnesium. Lots and lots of people report that magnesium helps them go to sleep. I take magnesium at night. I'm not sure if it's the only thing that has helped improve my sleep. I think the dietary changes I made have made a big difference as well. But it definitely doesn't hurt to take magnesium. In terms of drug therapy, I would recommend that as a very last resort. So we want to try and implement as many of these strategies as possible before we turn to an artificial solution. Our body already has its own chemical factory within it. We have our own biochemistry, and when we activate it properly, so when we do things to support the body to operate how it's supposed to, it actually works better than bringing in artificial drug treatment. Sometimes we have comorbidities where we absolutely need to have drug therapy, and sometimes drugs are the only option for us. but I would recommend trying everything else first, because a lot of the time drug therapy comes with some other disadvantage. So we might troubleshoot one thing over here and then it causes another problem over here because of side effects and because an artificial drug is not naturally occurring often in the system, and so the body has to reconcile that one way or another. So they're my top therapeutic strategies. Let me know. So if you try one of these things or a few of these things, comment below. Let me know how you went and ask any questions. And you know, there's always more to cover. There's always more things we can do. This is just a snapshot video. If you like the video, please like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.